In this presentation, we will discuss the process of recognizing, searching, collecting, and preserving physical evidence at the crime scene. Upon arrival at the crime scene, protection of the crime scene, markings, photographs, collection of physical evidences, and release of the crime scene. In crime scene investigation, it is important that physical evidence is collected and preserved in a manner that prevents contamination and degradation. Through a systematic examination of a crime scene investigation helps to establish the facts of the case. Now let's dive into the world of crime scene investigation, a case of murder. Upon receipt of call or walk-in complainants, the first responder shall proceed promptly to the crime scene. Arrival of the first responder. The first responder shall check the victim's condition, survey the crime scene, and take notes about gathered information. The first responder shall secure and preserve the crime scene by cordoning off the area to prevent unauthorized entry of persons. Note: the purpose of the cordon is to provide a highly barrier and protect the scene against potential damage and contamination. The first responder, upon arrival of the IOC, shall turn over the crime scene to the duty investigator, after the former has briefed the investigator of the situation. He shall prepare and submit the first responder's report to the IOC and be prepared to assist the IOC in the investigation. Arrival of the investigator on case. Upon arrival at the crime scene, the IOC shall assume full responsibility over the crime scene and shall conduct thorough assessment of the scene and inquiry into incident. He must record the time when he was initially notified prior to his arrival. IOC may conduct crime scene search outside the area where the incident happened. The IOC shall request for a SOCO team. Arrival of the SOCO team. The IOC shall brief the SOCO team leader upon their arrival at the crime scene and jointly conduct a walkthrough or preliminary crime scene survey. The team leader is also responsible for the recording and taking notes of the time and date of the arrival at the crime scene, condition of weather, direction of the wind, and writing down information gathered from the IOC. Team leader conducts briefing for the whole team. SOCO team shall establish a command post. SOCO team is composed of a team leader, photographer, sketcher, evidence collector, evidence custodian, medical legal officer, and a fingerprint examiner. The photographer shall photograph the whole crime scene for the general view before entering the crime scene. Proceed to the crime scene search. The team uses a strip search method in searching. 3 searchers proceed slowly at the same pace along the paths parallel to one side of the rectangle. While searching, the team put markings beside the evidence found, and the photographer shall take photos of it. The team puts markings on the pieces of physical evidence they have marked. Case number, date and time are also indicated. There is a scale to measure the size of a physical evidence. The photographer shall take wide-angled shots that capture the entire crime scene from multiple angles. This provides a comprehensive overview and helps to establish the location and setting. Note: capture the scene exactly as it was found before any evidence is moved or disturbed. This helps to preserve the original context and condition of the crime scene. Remember the golden rule: do not touch, alter, or remove anything at the crime scene until the evidence has been processed through notes, sketches, photographs with proper measurement. The crime scene photographer shall photograph the whole crime scene and the physical evidence they have found in general view, mid-range view, and close-up view. The crime scene sketcher is responsible to sketch the rough sketch of the crime scene. Indicate the north direction with an arrow. The evidence collector collects the physical evidence and puts it in a sealed container. The blood samples shall be swabbed using a cotton buds and put in a sealed container or a folded piece of paper. Evidence collector tags and puts labels on evidence by placing her initials, date, time of discovery of physical evidence, and signature for proper identification before putting it inside the envelope. The evidence collector uses integrity seal to seal the envelope. Fingerprint examiner shall start dusting for latent fingerprints, lifting for latent fingerprints, and taking plain impressions. The examiner places the lifted fingerprint in a bond paper, placing the date and time, signature, and her initials. Turnover of the evidence. The evidence collector turns over the pieces of evidence to the evidence custodian by signing into the turnover receipt. Using a fine fingerprint powder, the examiner gently dusts the surface of the knife. The powder adheres to the oils and residues left by any fingerprints. Once the prints are visible, the examiner uses adhesive tape to lift them from the surface, preserving the detail for further analysis. The examiner collects the suspect's fingerprints. This involves rolling each finger onto an ink pad, then carefully pressing it onto the finger card, ensuring clear and distinct prints are obtained. The examiner will now turn over the evidence to the evidence custodian by signing the turnover receipt. The evidence custodian will preserve the physical evidence. The chain of custody is properly observed. The IOC decide on the lifting of the security cordon and the release of the crime scene. The IOC shall turn over the crime scene to the owner of the property.